listening to the Soundkillers Radio powered by Noize. If this is your first time listening, you can stay up to date by adding us on your favorite RSS feed, iTunes, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on all social media platforms at the Soundkillers. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's podcast. We got in the building my man Chris, my man Mont, my man Sham. Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about a few things. Kodak Black, his album.
Dear Lord.
Kodak. Let's just get through the intro. We got Drake, his album, Kendrick Lamar.
Ew.
And what's the last one we were going to talk about?
Ross.
We're going to talk about the big Rizzy Rose.
Ricardo Rosell.
MMG, the boss.
All right.
Maybach music.
Officer Ricky.
All right, so, we got a couple fans in here of these artists out here. And my man Chris is saying he's, mainly a Kodak fan. So, how about you talk about this album that Kodak just released, Painting Pictures?
Painting Pictures, it's, that's like his first album, so you can't really expect too much with his first album. He's a young artist, and he'll definitely mature in his ability to deliver and flow. One of the biggest knocks I thought was the production, right? I'm not really a big fan of Mike Will Made It. I felt like he came really soft on Kodak's album. I like hearing Kodak over hard. Hard melodic beats that are up tempo to mid to up tempo. And a lot of the slower tempo shit.
Right.
For Kodak, it doesn't work because you're not really focusing on Kodak's words when it's he's rapping over some hard shit, and when he starts rapping over some soft shit, kind of focus on the words a little bit, right? And he's not the most lyrical.
So would you say he's not delivering? Is what you're saying?
What I'm saying is the total package is not fitting for the listeners, right? You don't want to hear a rapper that's melody driven. You don't want to give him too much space, and you don't want him to be slow paced. You don't want to.
Is Kodak a rapper?
You
consider him a rapper?
Was Mace a rapper? Mace talked. Mace talked 95% of the time. You listen to Mace records, and his draw is so slow and so laid back. It's better.
His punches.
Yeah,
his punchlines. Come on.
His writing
compared to Kodak Black,
right? But
it's not he was this incredible lyricist.
No, but if we're gonna judge Kodak on him being a rapper because he has southern twang that's styled from Wayne, then we have to judge the past rappers who weren't consistent as their peers, right?
Yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah, I listen to it, and I think what you get from an album like this is groove. That's about it, though. You get these moments where you all right, I could drive to this for for a block. Nah, I'm just kidding.
But that fills a purpose, right? You know what I'm saying? Mood music. Music is based upon mood.
But there's also fillers. But the reason it I was going to jokingly say a block is because he interrupts the feeling. I'm going back to my what I was saying before we kick things off, that the producer's doing all the work. So he gets lucky enough to have a beat with a particular groove. He's not really complimenting the beat. He does have sort of this old Cash Money feel to me. It sounds like Lil Wayne kind of inspired, young Wayne inspired music, which is in this day and age a little hard to process because he's not even as good as Wayne was back then to me. I think Wayne was an exceptional kid. So anyway, I listened to it. I like the Candy Paint joint with Bun B. I thought that was a pretty decent record. There was a couple of joints on there I was like, all right, cool, but there's times where he's worse than the loop that he's rapping over. He's just hard to process. It's hard to even listen to him. I don't know that, but I can't really mess with these young rappers. I don't know what these kids want to listen to. I like some of these young rappers. I think Young Thug is great. Uzi got a couple of joints that I mess with. Yeah. Kodak, this is my first time listening to him. And jeez,
I think you got to give him a chance, man.
I did. I listened to his album.
Yeah, but nah. I think it's funny because before we started recording, Chris said something that I wanted to touch on. I probably won't touch on it on this now, but he mentioned something he's not trying to get emotionally, or maybe I'm wording it wrong, caught up on the artist. And I think that's important. I like before we even started this, I told Mont that like, you know, if you care about something, you're just gonna be more interested in it. And I think like because you don't know Kodak Black, or you don't know, you know, like that was the, I think like for me, I still listen to music to be a fan of someone, like to really like their stuff.
Me too.
And even deeper, like I may not like a song, but you know, you could get caught up with the other stuff, the persona, who they are, and then that may lead you to buy tickets to a show and maybe say, oh snap, live, it was crazy, it was a different experience.
Yep.
So I think still like just, I mean, I don't know much about the Kodak thing, but I would just say like you got to give more than just the album a listen. I think you got to like, and not saying it's your job to like every new artist that drops an album or whatever, but I just think like to cut him so short so soon, it's not fair for him or his artistry.
So what I want to do is understand, like I really seek to like an artist. So when I listened to Kodak's album, I was like, all right, what can I like about this? Damn, and you like it ain't nothing there.
So
not for me at least.
What was your main issue with it though? Like what did you feel that was lacking? That
I feel like his voice is unappealing. Right, he's got this like scratchy little, you know, just hard to listen to voice. His flows were
unorthodox,
unimpressive.
Right. So it's like, you know, is the Ball brothers shot?
Yeah,
like something. It was just.
But like I said, you know, like so, like Chris was saying, like it's about how the music makes you feel, and I look for that too. Like just to make a comparison to a new young rapper that I like, Black, on his Free Black album, I think is incredible. I think it's a dope album. So. But I listened to it and I think a lot of his talent is apparent to me. Whereas Kodak Black, I'm like, damn, I could find any young kid from the streets that could do this shit. I don't see the talent. I don't see where the talent lies.
And I'd have to disagree there because like you're not going to get amazing lyrics nowadays, right? When we listen to music, you know,
clearly
for a lot of us, myself, right, and you know, definitely other listeners, younger generations. For me, I'm listening to music because of the feel, because I want something upbeat. I want a distraction from the norm, right? Life is pretty stressful. I think like, you know, no matter your age group or whatever, like, you know, we live in stressful times, right? With, you know, bombs going off and shootings happening all the time and everything. So for me, right. I don't want to have to hear you know, I don't want an artist to tell me more about the complicated lives that we're living. You know, it's hard enough living in those times. Now I'm taking my pleasure time and my downtime and I'm listening to stressful music. So for me, it's a lot easier listening to like an Uzi or Kodak because I want the melody, I want the beat, and I just want to keep something happening.
The melodies are bad.
That side is always available though, because we had access to like Eminem and we had access to Nelly. Like, that's always available. Like, the message is always going to switch up. I think Mont's thing, and probably I'm a side with him on that. Like, you want them to be good, to have talent. Right. You don't want to listen to it and say, my little brother is 9 years old. He could probably do this, if not do better. And I think that's like his thing. Like, because the mood of music, you always going to have like those uplifting artists, the artists that struggle, that's the people who care about booty shaking, leaving a dollar bill in the crack of a woman's ass. There's always going to be somebody who has their cup of tea. And you, like I said, it's always going to be available. But I will agree with Mont and say, like, you kind of want to feel like, damn, he did that. She did that. Damn, that was kind of crazy. You want to be impressed with like what you're listening to. So I think that's more of.
I mean, if we actually get into the lyrics, just what is it, Candy Paint? I mean,
that's your favorite joint?
That was Mont's
the one joint. But that's why I said I want to get into it. Like his first few bars were candy.
Mont, you
candy.
Have candy paint on your car?
No.
I'm just seeing if you. Okay.
Nah, it's New York. We don't do that.
Right.
Not like that.
Spent $20,000 on my engine.
But Candy Paint got a message too.
On my women sipping on lean. I'm dizzy.
Bars.
Okay, all right, but here's the thing, right? Like,
I'm fucking.
Like, got a digital dash on my Cutlass. I mean that.
Nah, but what's the hook? What's the hook?
The hook is literally, everybody want to ride my candy. Everybody want to ride my candy. Everybody want to ride Candy Paint. Everybody just comparing. Everybody trying to sell drugs. Everybody think they the plug. everybody want to ride fogies now.
Yeah, come on, everybody want to ride fogies.
Ain't nobody trying to ride dubs.
Y'all can see Noize face.
Yo, come on, man.
I'm not mad at those lyrics, man.
Listen, the message behind it is just like everybody wants to do all these things. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's about cars.
I felt the sentiment, and I felt Bun B actually really came through on that record too. So, but it's one of those rare moments where I felt like it was a dope song.
I mean, at the end of the day, too, like we was talking about, before we started everything, it is about feeling. Chris, that's what it is nowadays. In 2017, 9 times out of 10, it's about feeling. Yeah. You got, plus everybody's on
It hasn't always been like that, though?
No, it has. But it's more so like you got it now. It's more about it. Like the producer makes the record. That's why they go after certain producers.
100%.
It hasn't always been like that?
It's not all the time.
No. Maybe I've been dead.
No, I mean,
Sham, it wasn't always about that.
I think it's always been about feeling. It's just that the connection is different now, right? Like, like the connection before was about, understanding the message and being able to relate to the artist and where they're coming from in the trials and tribulations in day-to-day lives.
I'm thinking back to when a rapper dropped an album. And we would pick apart the lyrics. We were like, yo, did you hear Jay on this shit? Muffs wanna act loco, hit him with numerous shots with the fofo. Faggots wanna talk to like the way he delivered his lyrics and what he was saying. It was like we would talk about the punchlines. Like, how do you even think of this shit? And now it's all whittled down to feeling, so much so that anybody can do it. And what's worse is that everybody has access to doing it.
But you gotta understand too.
Yes, anybody could do it.
That's so wrong.
It's not wrong because Kodak is doing it.
So what does that
mean? What I mean is,
why do you hate Kodak so much?
I fail to see where the talent is.
He doesn't sound like he likes Kodak.
No, but you know what?
If you guys just joined us, it's pretty obvious.
You know what?
Real
shit. I always want an artist, a fan of an artist to be like, yo, if you had to sell me on this artist right now, you could only give me 2 to 3 songs. I'd like to know what those 2 to 3 songs are so I could go home and listen to it. And if I listen to it and I'm just like, this is bullshit, then I've come to a conclusion about that artist because a fan told me, here are the songs that's going to make you love this artist. So I think my takeaway from this conversation is, Chris, at the end of this, you're going to tell me, like, if you want to fuck with Kodak, and it's probably not going to be on this album because I listened to it.
It's definitely not going to be.
Okay, so that's what I want. I want to hear those songs and be like, all right, I see what you see. I see something. There's something there.
We got to look at, like, you got to look at everything, like, in the box, right? So it's so difficult nowadays to write a song and manage melodies and just flow over the beat while keeping the listener's attention, right? That's a very hard combination of skills. Whether or not you enjoy the music that's put out, it's, the execution of that still requires some skill set.
So, based on whatever criteria you rate albums on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you give this?
I mean, I only did one listen through, like a 5.
That's not good.
Scale from 1 to 10? You give us but that doesn't. But he's a prior fan.
Okay, so
and I already stated that I wasn't a fan of the production.
Right.
So it's
fair enough.
Yeah, like the production I felt was lacking.
So maybe this is not a great introduction to Kodak Black.
Yeah. I mean, so what about his previous record? So on that, how would you rate that one? I mean, I'm sure you had a few more listens.
Yeah, like it would probably be like closer to a 7.5. It all depends on like the mood, right?
For me, he's like a
I really want those 3 songs.
He's like a C average artist, is what you're saying.
C plus.
Yeah. So right? what would those songs be though?
And he's a young rapper, so it's like like this is. I mean, like Kodak's off the streets of like Florida and shit. Like like he's far from professional like in his sound and development and skills. And I think
19, something like that.
And
he got a ways to go.
He has a long ways to go, right? So like I'm not going to judge him by his first project or the number it does, because I think he's gotten quite far, like developing the skills that he has now. Like I expect his sound to mature as he goes.
I'm with that. So what are those 3 songs that I should listen to So
I would like definitely Tunnel Vision. Like that's the shit that kind of like knocks right now, right? And like I love that beat. I would definitely say listen to the Lockjaw remix because I thought his appearance on there.
I actually did hear that one. That was.
Yeah, like I thought.
Mean,
like,
you too,
not,
huh?
I'm not. That's not the case.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's at the end of the day, it's as long as he's doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing I will give them is that they're doing something, and even though it might not be our forte,
everybody's doing something.
And what was the third song?
Third song, I would say just There You Go because that beat is the type of production that I want to hear him on more.
Got you.
Like it's not a great song like package wise, but that's the type of production I like hearing Kodak on, something more upbeat and definitely less melodic.
So There You Go, Tunnel Vision, and what else?
Lockjaw remix.
Got it.
Right. So all right, moving on to the next one that we have on the table is you got Drake's album.
Drizzy Drake
life.
with the lick read.
Drizzy to the Drake. How'd y'all feel about that?
I'll begin. I like Drake. Generally speaking, I like Drake. So far gone.
Fan or just
I never been to a Drake concert.
So spectator.
Yeah,
like
but I guess that's not even important. This record in particular, I had feelings, positive feelings about two records. Sacrifices and KMT actually. But that was more about the production than the performance of Drake or gigs. Overall, I'm feeling like this album was recycled Drake formula yet again. There's a lot of doing the same few melodies that he has in his pocket. A lot of the sort of personal raps that we've heard, sometimes we don't quite know if we understand the story. Gina told me tell y'all to keep it real, so it's always like something like some conversation you have with somebody that's a part of Drake's formula,
right?
But it's all the same old recycled stuff. And I, like I was saying before, like Drake is I feel at a crossroads in his career where he really needs to reinvent. Now I know there are elements to this record that are different. It has that UK influence. He's certainly got some dance hall influence. But all in all,
you say he's certainly he's riding that train right
now. Yeah. That's right.
He got that joint by the saddle.
Precisely. So I'm that's about it though.
I didn't say he was good at it. I was just saying,
You think he's bad at it?
Some pause worthy comments.
We're at pause. Yeah. So, you think? I mean, no, he's not that type of artist. I mean, he's just jumping on a bandwagon that he sees everybody else doing.
See, and I don't look at it as jumping on the bandwagon. Like he's curating.
He's
like,
not though.
He's
to be honest, me being from a West Indian descent, he's destroying that culture because he
the dancehall. I give you that. Not that UK sound.
The
UK grime.
But I'm talking about the dancehall stuff. That's the West Indian descent and all that other stuff. I think he's on his own. That needs to be another genre. Like you can't put Drake on that and think he's gonna buy it because he dated Rihanna for a little bit.
Why though?
Because he doesn't. It doesn't sound good.
So no,
like he doesn't. If you listen, he just comes in with this
because he
accent.
does it poorly.
Right, he does it very poorly. Or you know what he's doing? To me, in my opinion, he's causing confusion because now he's having dancehall artists beefing with each other because of certain situations. Like, come on, what are you doing?
It's only an interesting point because I only hear that in reference to gospel. I don't hear that generally with like one genre to another.
Right.
Or one musical, secular genre to another.
Right. But that's my opinion. I mean,
I think it's just watered down. To me, it just sounds like a mockery of dance hall. Like even when he's doing like the accent on the records, it's like, come on, dog. Bro.
Like you don't.
Why
talk
are you
like
doing that?
Like we seen your mother. Stop.
Yeah.
Go sit down.
He's doing this Drake ting.
But I mean, I don't know. I'm not in this conversation.
I mean, to be honest, like if you feel he
listen.
The fundamentals that he's doing it, he's getting the right people in order to show him what to do, in my opinion. But ultimately,
like you don't need anyone to show you what to do.
But
I grew up
does.
in an area where there was tons of Jamaicans, and I'm not from Jamaica. Wait, hang on. Let me make where I'm going. I grew up in an area where there was a bunch of Jamaicans, and that's what I'm saying. I don't need to be around them to know tank. I don't need their validation because I grew up around it. In Canada, there's tons of people from the island there that he's probably around and being being influenced by.
Right.
Like Wayne, what did Wayne do when he did like his 6th album? He did a rock album.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you get bored spitting the same thing, and like I think Drake. I was telling somebody this the other day. I think Drake has a hard job because he came out the gate hybrid. Right. He didn't come out the gate, I've spit your head off. He came out the gate singing and rhyming. Right. So this is album what?
And that's
6?
That's why I would say
point,
I do rock with.
At some point you have to like you can't just do the same thing. Same thing Kanye. He did a whole 808 singing, like I don't want to do the soul sampling no more. I don't want to, and I think like those people show courage to try other things. Just because he's not from West Indies, like it's not for you to feel offended.
Have you heard Drake's patois? He's in no way doing that shit seriously.
So what?
You know what the problem is too?
Why is it so what though?
Well, that's how I feel.
You know what it was?
So what? Like
I heard
it's the thing because it's under scrutiny. Like it's so what because you're scrutinizing his patois. Is the song good?
I've already answered that question. You should.
No, I'm just saying. That. I mean, is the song good? We was talking about feelings the last conversation.
Right.
Like how and I know this is off of the album, but how did One Dance make you feel? There's no reason why that's like the most streamed song ever. Like somebody liked it.
Right.
Yeah. It made people feel away, regardless of the point of his patois is not as perfect and as on point as someone that was born and had a coconut in their hand. It doesn't matter.
That's why I said on More Life. It's evident to me that he's at that crossroads because I feel like it is recycled. The redundancy of the sounds and even the moods of the record, it's just getting old to me as a listener, and that's why in this forum we could say how to.
You're a Bone Thugs fan, right? Was there any difference? Was there any difference between album 1 and 3?
Between
you just mentioned sounds. You mentioned sounds
and Art of War. Huge difference.
Could you share them with me?
Yeah, so the grittiness of Creeping on the Come Up, you could tell they were 4 or 5 kids directly off the block, just very raw spitting their verses. By album 3, they did a double album. That's the difference from 1993 to 1997. The production was way different. They were way more melodic, and the lyrics had evolved. The lyrics were now speaking from the perspective of people who had crossroads, who had excelled to that level of their career.
So there was no similarities in album 1 and 3.
No, I didn't say that. You asked me what was different. So I'm telling you what's
because
different.
That's what I'm saying. Like from one album to the next, Drake is still on that. You know what I'm saying? That's his choice. You said by the saddle. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I'm just saying like you don't have to switch your style because you've done it already. You don't have to like Michael Jackson didn't moonwalk in 86 or whatever and then say, you know what, it's 88. I just can't pull out the moonwalk anymore. No. He's gonna like you. I mean, he was still doing it when that's the one thing about being an artist. You have freedom to do whatever you want to do. Just because you did like some island influence stuff on the previous album, does that mean you stop it the next album? Which is
I would say, you know what's the main problem with it too is like what kind of threw me off is when he had an interview. I forgot who he's interviewing with, and then he started talking in patois, and I'm just like, "What you talking about, Drake? Stop." Like
he's an entertainer, man. But I mean, I'm with you. I get it. Maybe I'm not connected to it because I don't have those roots. If I did, I would probably feel away. I would probably feel away about.
But the way you put it, no one can be criticized. No, like nobody's work can be critiqued because.
Right. It's all art like, at that too.
Exactly.
To be honest,
art is always going to be subjective.
It's creative. And he's doing something. Like I'm going to keep saying that he's doing. He's doing something. He's out.
It's in the ear of the beholder. Right. You know, it's kind of like, all right. So I heard it, and I'm thinking that over the course of the last few albums, there hasn't been enough evolution for me to feel like Drake is interesting anymore. That's how I feel. That's how I felt on. Views had a couple joints, but generally, this is how I've been feeling. And More Life kind of put the nail in that coffin for me, where like his next album playlist, whatever he wants to do, can't sound like this again because it's just enough of this shit already.
I mean, it's just kind of the same thing with Wayne. Like after a while, like he flooded the market, right or wrong.
Yeah.
So after a while, that's why he had to come out with Young Money and come out with a Drake, Nicki, Twist, and all of. he had Tiger, all of them signed to this label because he was tired of hearing
another
him.
genius, though.
But at the end of the day, that's why he had to do that. So, which I got.
I look at Drake and I mean, it's hard to knock his consistency. You say redundancy, I say consistency. I mean, like, reaching the pinnacle is fucking hard, right? Staying at the top of the mountain is the hardest thing ever. And I mean, like I said, he gets his album to chart. He breaks, streaming records. He's been revolutionary in the Apple Music deal and how that's going to affect artists from coming out. Like the revenue generators and everything. Like Drake he has a great team, and there's not many miscues and missteps in the execution from the marketing package to the music. Right, I give him a lot of credit for well, I'm not the only one. Check his record sales, right?
Don't do that.
Hey, fuck it. It's a business. I mean,
it is a business.
It is a business, but you have to separate the art from the business.
They go hand in hand to me. You can't separate the two. Then you'll be starving.
No, that's unfair. Creators are creators. People who create,
whoever's natural at doing it.
Correct.
Who's really good at what they do.
Right.
Like, I mean, to be honest,
let you tell it. That means that art would not exist without business and vice versa.
They work hand in hand. I mean,
they have to, certainly, because people need to generate income and revenue.
But without business, art's not going to get anywhere, right? Like, you're all just going to be a bunch of,
that's not true.
Starving musicians and going things the indie route, right? Like, it's the business gives you the
art will still be created.
Indie is the new major nowadays.
Yeah.
You gotta understand that's the way it's going. I mean, how many artists is getting out of their contracts in order to go indie and just get distribution?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that like Drake has been the master of consistency. He certainly continues to put out music that people gravitate to. I'll give you that, but I said, I feel. I feel it's time to evolve. It's time to kind of see the fruits of evolution in the music that he's creating.
And when we look at Drake's fan base, right, like, it probably skews lower and lower, like, each time around, I imagine, or stays very, very consistent in like the mid-teen to teen range and all that. Through him curating music and bringing in different styles, he opens up people to different artists, right?
Right,
sure.
And I think that's one aspect that he doesn't get not a lot of credit from,
It's also a model he didn't create. People have come before him. Kanye did that.
Oh, I mean, well, Jay-Z is like the greatest curator of the 90s era when it comes to rap music. I mean, but Drake just takes it to a new level because Drake's exposing UK artists, like a US fan base to UK artists back and forth. And
is he not just exposing artists
that's what he's supposed to do?
Be exposed?
No,
he can't expose what we already know.
He has no obligation to other artists to put them on.
I'm not saying that he has an obligation, but at the end of the day,
leveraging
also to be legendary,
right? It works hand in hand.
You got to do something legendary. He is basically saying, "Hey, we're here, so we're from Canada. Let's take over the game." Because basically what he's doing is literally what, like I said not too long, he's modeling after Lil Wayne. He's eating it up, and then he's gonna start putting his people on, and he's gonna start. He started, but he has OVO. So at the end of the day, it went down south, and now they're trying to bring it way up north. If you think about it, so at the end of the day, he's literally he got Baby, regardless of whatever they're beefing. He still knows what Baby's doing.
I don't want to overstate what he's doing for these other artists because they're clearly doing something for him. Like, we are not in the UK. These artists have a significant presence out there. He's exposing them to the American market. But at the same time, he's using their sound to create something new. So there's this mutual benefit. Yeah, because
doesn't that help your argument though?
Drake sounds
that the album has sound the same. So him doing that, pulling from that well, isn't that something to help your
attempting to? Yes.
Okay. So then
not successfully yet.
Right. I'm not saying that it's good. I'm just saying like that's him trying to find it.
Yeah.
I definitely think he knows, and like I said, it's tough when somebody is at like album 7. Like you've heard them, you've heard so much of them, and you have to reinvent the wheel. Like I wasn't a big fan of like the Blueprint 3. I didn't like, but he's still trying. Jay was trying stuff. It didn't sound as cool or what we were used to, but he can't do public service announcement every album. He can't do that.
I guess the question for me then becomes, is it time for Drake to take a real break?
Well, I think that's
I don't think he's ever.
I think that's what he's doing too. You know, like while pursuing acting and everything. And
I think
pursuing.
Ideally,
first,
from what
he did.
Well, I mean,
he started acting.
Yeah, well, he's getting back into it now. You know, so it's, you know, for him to pursue acting and take away a step from music. Ideally, it's
he
healthy,
would need an artist that's gonna allow him to still get that money from music though.
Right.
He's not gonna. He would need somebody that could do what he did. Like when Wayne went away to jail, Drake stepped up and whatever. He took the Cash Money torch. He needs some, and like those UK artists may not be the ones, but they somebody that could generate something for him while he does something else. I think he does need a break because people will get tired of you. Right. Just over time, people will just get tired of you. Like,
I mean, that even brings up the picture of Iconic. You know, they was having this talk. I forgot what show it was I was watching too about. Is he an icon?
Yeah.
Drake?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're an engineer. How many people tell you to make them sound like Drake? Yeah.
How many rappers have their own fucking shoe deal with Nike? You know, like
I mean, to be honest, he did step it up, and he's basically putting a lot of these rappers on their heels to be like, you gotta endorsements.
It's
you know, not
rap.
You know, it is.
He's always been endorsements.
If you really want to, you know that saying back in the days, like, oh, you sound commercial. You know when people used to run around saying, yo, you sound mad commercial. He's the epitome of commercial.
He's the reason why people want to now sound commercial.
Right.
Where before that was like,
shame
on you.
To talk about even another thing too, Sham, like as a top tier producer that you are, like how did you feel, you know, about the production aspect of it?
I mean, the producers on there actually, some of the ones from Canada, they're like really amazing producers. So I don't have a gripe with the beats. However, I do feel like he could have picked some of their other. I do feel like he could have picked some of their other beats because I've been in the studio with at least one of them, and I know that there's a sound that they have that like he's not using, and it could be like you said because he
could be holding out a little bit. You know?
Yeah, I mean because you gotta like Chris said, like you're at the top. When you take those risks, it's risky. Like it's risky to really miss like that. Big artists can't really miss.
Right.
You're not supposed to. But I just, as far as the production go, I like a lot of it. I definitely, I think it's called Blem.
Blem, yeah.
Yeah, that track, I like it. And I like
T-Minus did that. T-Minus is dope. I was happy that he got some shine on Drake's project.
Yeah. I like that record, Sacrifices, which is my favorite, which is also T-Minus.
Shout out to Young Thug, who bodied it.
Yeah, shout out to Young Thug. Yeah, I mean,
he did though.
You're right,
my man.
He did.
Yeah.
You know, I was a little, you know, suspect about it. I'm like, what is this? But you know,
he did. But I like a lot of the production. The Vinyls joint, Fake Love. I know people are probably tired of it, but I just love that chord progression. That is the same chord progression from Between the Sheets. That's the same chord progression from I Love It When You Call Me Big Papa. And those chords will never get old for you producers out there. Those chords never go anywhere.
I think you showed me those chords too.
I definitely showed you one missing chord from there, but yeah, I mean, I think the production is solid, but an artist like Drake is gonna have it. I'm not really too fond of the other song that's getting a lot of love right now, Passion Fruit. I can't really listen to that all the way through, and I'm a big fan of nostalgia and things that sound like dated or but I can't really, the song as a whole, maybe not the beat, but just how the lyrics and the whole song formed. I really wasn't a big fan of it, but definitely kudos to those producers, man. No hate over here. I don't have anything that I really hated. Is there a track I hated on there? Let's see.
You hated on it?
Yeah, there's some tracks I hate, man.
Yeah. No, I'm saying you looking for the track that you might have hated on.
I'm thinking. I'm trying to think. Yeah, you can move along, but yeah, that's how I felt about the production. It was solid. So
we're gonna actually get into some cinematography. You know, we're gonna.
Kodak again?
Nah, man.
Oh,
nice.
Oh.
We'll talk about Kendrick. How'd y'all feel about that?
You know, Cornrow Kenny.
You know, before we talk about the record, you know, how'd you feel about? Did you actually see the video?
Yeah, I saw the video.
What did you think about the video?
The video grew on me, like, you know, like after like more plays, but you know.
Your initial, and we want to hear your initial.
Initially, like the video was the coolest part about the song. Okay. You know, initially, right? Like, and I felt like the video and the song don't really match. You know, it's like, you know, it's like, am I supposed to focus on Kendrick and his so-called amazing lyrics, or am I supposed to focus on
so-called
yeah, because he gets way too much fucking props than he deserves.
Really?
Yeah.
So what props what do you
I mean, like Kendrick's been like, he's been anointed the one like since he came out, right? Like, you know, like everybody thought his first project was amazing. I thought it was lackluster, to put it nicely.
Good Kid, Mad City?
Yeah, I expect much better production.
You, sir, are offending me.
That's beyond. Yo.
So
he just took all.
Damn.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. Man, no.
Where do I?
I don't have that high up on my favorite albums, but Good Kid, Mad City was a pretty fucking thorough album.
And that's the thing. Everyone tells me that.
Yeah. You know what? I fuck with that though. Hey, at the end of the day, it didn't resonate with you, and that's cool. But
so you tell me
you
Kodak.
can leave now. I'm sorry.
So you say Kodak Black. Over Kendrick.
It had no Kodak features, so it all makes sense.
It's definitely better than Kendrick's. Yeah, I mean,
Kodak's beats are better than Kendrick's.
No, I said Kendrick's ear for beats is definitely.
Oh, okay, got it.
I mean, Kodak's ear for beats is definitely better than Kendrick's, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
I mean, if you want to get
absolutely
into that, I personally think that Kodak walks into the studio, he says play something, and he just goes into the booth. He doesn't pick it.
You can't say that though. You would have to be there to kind of put that statement out there.
That's what a creative process.
That's what it feels like when I put the 2 and 2 together. I think Kendrick has a more.
Wow.
I definitely will say Kendrick. I'm with you on the Anointed part, but I will definitely disagree with you on the Good Kid, Mad City album. That album is like thoroughly like well thought out. It wasn't like we just putting something together. This is my debut. It was very well thought out. It was mixed great. It was like there's a lot of parts of the album that I think were like really the bar was set way higher for like tons of artists to kind of like put an album together, not just put a bunch of songs you have on your hard drive and put it like out there for people to like consume.
And Kendrick's singles always generally kind of tie into the format and the progression of the album. So I'm curious to see. Obviously the Heart Part 4 is probably likely not going to be an album track, but you know, Humble,
right?
I'm interested in seeing how that plays into the overall project and like the direction of the album,
right? So
I don't know, like I heard the song once, I watched the video once, and I thought the song was cool. You know, I have no like significant feelings about it. It was just like, you know, the video was kind of dope. You know, with there was this kind of like Flatbush Zombies kind of camera thing going on that they did.
Yeah, that's what got me with the video. I personally feel was that.
Yeah,
you know, because to be honest, I seen the video first, and then I went and listened to the record, and I messed myself up because I knew I shouldn't have did that. Because I was just waiting for certain things to happen. I was just like, but I kind of agree with you too. They didn't match a little bit. Seeing it and then, you know, seeing it then hearing it, I was just like, let me go watch the video.
Right. What about so obviously everybody's speculating that the Heart Part 4 was it the Heart Part 4? Yeah, it was on the Heart Part 4 that he was kind of getting at Sean.
Not that, well, Humble on the.
It was on Humble?
Yeah. They were saying it was on the first song.
Oh, okay.
I personally feel it's on Humble because those are like Sean's punchlines, like hold up, little bitch.
Yeah.
Like I don't. Why do they have beef? Maybe this is not a podcast kind of conversation.
No, I mean I don't personally think they have beef. I mean, did you hear of anything that Sean said?
I heard in an interview he did. I think on the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne or whoever was in.
But you know, come on.
Wait a minute. Let me finish. You do that a lot. Let me finish.
I'm just.
Charlamagne was saying how.
It's my 2 cents. That's all it is.
Nah, that's okay. Charlamagne was saying how Kendrick like killed him on the song, and Big Sean kind of was like, "Come on, man, he didn't kill me, man. Like I hold my own with anybody in the game, and I don't know if that came off away, but not enough to make somebody write like 2 songs driven towards you. So I don't know. I'm not too invested in rap.
That he
beef,
even came at him because I mean, as an artist, you gotta say I'm dope. You know what I mean? You gotta first and foremost, you gotta encourage yourself. So by him sitting there saying that, you know, I can he's in a position now.
Yeah.
He did what he had to do. You know, he rapped in front of Kanye. He got on. You know, people, be honest, shitted on him at first in a little bit, and then they started gravitating towards him to you know, at the end of the day. You know, even this new record that he kind of put out, you know, to me it was dope. Like even why I rock with Big Sean more than anything is that his message is behind his album.
Big Sean is a builder rapper.
Right. Even down to the cover art. Did you hear him explain the cover art? You know, I know we're going off topic, but him explaining the cover art is like, to me, was like, damn, like he put thought in the process. But Sean,
he's nothing. He's another one, but it's just like he's doing a lot of things right, but it just never.
Right.
He would never compel me to buy.
Probably not.
Even Bounce Back when I first heard that record on Saturday Night Live when he performed, and I was like, yeah, it's cool, but the only thing wrong with it is him. Like his voice is wrong. He got that like nasally voice.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I like Detroit.
Mont is so Fifth Ave with everything.
No, boy.
Fifth
Avenue Mont.
I like
that's the
Detroit.
Voice of Brooklyn right there.
Don't get me spitting. I like Detroit. I thought that was a good project from Sean, but I just feel like he never really connects. Like there's just always something that's like I call him the builder rapper because he's doing everything right. Like he wears the right thing. He's on good music. You know, he's got the R&B girl.
Does he make you mad?
No, I'm rooting for him. When I heard Detroit,
why you wear your hat like him though?
Oh shit!
You guys can't see this, but Mont is wearing a hat similar to the styling of how Big Sean would wear it.
It's actually dad cap.
It's actually tilted.
Shout out to my
bit.
girl Abs because she got the Faith, Passion, Hustle thing going, and this is Abs hat. So.
Plug.
Yeah. We gonna meet on Saturday. But anyway, anyway, going back to Kendrick, I kind of hope he's going at Big Sean, if not any other reason than to bring out the best in Sean.
I got money on Big Sean.
You got money on him?
Yeah. If it comes between those two, I got money on Big Sean.
Wow, why?
I think Big Sean will eat him. I think he's way fucking nasty than Kendrick. Yeah, and I think Kendrick is really bad at using his voice too. There's a lot of times I listen to Kendrick and I'm like, why'd you use that voice switch?
Are you serious?
No, like you listen to Holy Key, it's and one of fucking ruin the record.
It's one of his greater gifts.
Turn his mic.
His ability to play with the voices. I'm puzzled as to how you could say that, especially when we're comparing Kendrick and Sean, when Sean has literally one boring, monotonous voice.
He's comfortable in his zone. Like I'm fine with Sean not taking chances as long as he doesn't fuck up.
So are you tired of Drake's voice? Are you tired of Drake's voice too?
Tired of it? Not necessarily. I feel like there is redundancy in his melodies. His melodies, because I want to say the right thing. Because Sham will dissect your words.
Yeah, he will.
Was that a great record? But nah.
Does my voice sound like that, Mark?
Come to think of it,
it does.
Nah. But Sean's voice is his greatest weakness. It's his greatest weakness. For you to say that and
greatest weakness?
It is. It absolutely is.
I mean, that's his whole platform. Then, like that means he's Draga if he's saying it that way.
I really think it is. Weakness? I really think like Sean oftentimes has good lyrics. He's got some good flows, but his voice is hard to listen to, especially for a whole album.
So pretty much like Kodak.
Man, listen.
So wait, let's
like Kodak.
So is it?
I'll name my theory and respect my authority.
What was that?
Actually sounded like Kendrick a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
the way
I mean, if you all right, so even the fact that you even so
Kendrick has multiple voices. Can we say that?
Right.
Sure.
He does.
Okay. That doesn't mean they're good.
Does Sean?
No.
Tell me one time Sean's voice.
I don't want him to have multiple voices. I don't care about the Like if you have multiple voices and you
to
can't use them right each time, like who gives a fuck, right? Like
See,
you listen
so
to
I'm
Holy Key
gonna use your own point, your own Drake point against you.
You can listen to
Clearly
Holy Key from
something that
Kendrick,
Kendrick
right?
is doing
and he's going
is
through it. He's spitting. He's rapping. His verse was great, right? Even though he's like, he talks about like some unnecessary shit at times, I feel. And then he just switches up his voice, and it completely lost me there because of such an unnecessary change.
Right.
It didn't improve the record.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like with Kendrick, if you're switching your voice and you didn't improve the record.
Yeah, I might be willing to give you that if this weren't in the context of Kendrick versus Sean. Where I can clearly see that again, this is Sean's Achilles heel. His voice is horrendous.
I would not use the word horrendous at all. I think that's a bit of a stretch.
It is.
And
it's the reason. I can't get through an album.
When I listen to Sean, I mean, like his voice allows me to focus on the wit that he displays, like in punchlines and with metaphors. So I can't say anything bad about Sean's voice. I think it works well for him.
So you disagree?
Was Kendrick going at Drake on the first joint he dropped?
I don't know. I don't like
the hard part.
I don't like subs. I really don't. I don't like having
everybody drops.
Yeah, I know, and it's corny. It's of this era.
But I mean, like that's a spirit of competition, right? Like
crazy.
That's why it was crazy. You thought it was crazy.
I thought Sheetha was crazy.
You thought it was crazy.
It was very direct.
I think it
was direct.
I didn't walk away.
You didn't walk. I think you just wanted to hear what else.
I mean, when you click the link, it says Nicki Minaj diss in quotes, so you should know.
Right. That you wanted to hear.
It was very direct. If you read the website.
Yeah. What I think is that you just wanted to hear all the dirt that was on Nicki. That's why you couldn't walk away.
Nah, that's like tabloid.
I don't think it's
Nah, I'm not into
murderous.
I'm not into the tabloid shit.
That's what it is. We're in an era of reality TV. That was her reality TV. 15 minutes of reality TV.
Oh, but part of what you just pointed out was what made Ether great too.
That is true.
When Nas was talking about all type of shit from like Jay, copying Jazzo, and that's how he got his name. It's somebody's ability to point those things out.
Sean called it a Jay-Z damn you on Jazz's
There you
dick.
go. That's what made that song a great record, because he was pointing out shit that we was like, oh damn. So I'm not looking for the tabloid aspect. I'm looking for people. You know what the problem with Nicki shit is that Nicki was on the defense.
Right.
She was like, and she was all promoting her shit herself. Like, I'm great.
She was trying to sell records. That's what it was.
She wasn't on the attack. She wasn't on the offense necessarily.
And then she had Wayne and Drake on those records.
Yeah, she's
like, you pick up the two.
All right. Yeah.
But,
sorry to
bodies of it, but
go off topic.
Yeah.
But,
right.
So
yeah, that's it. Chanadames.
So I mean. And the last one we're going to talk about.
Last night took an L, but tonight I bounced back.
We're going to talk about that Rick Ross.
That's a dope
album,
record, actually.
Rather You
Versus Two?
Than Me. How'd y'all feel about that record? Rather You Than Me by Rick Ross?
Jam.
Sham is in the middle of eating.
The Rick Ross album was cool, man. No surprises on this album. And I think for Rick Ross, that's cool, man. I feel like he's the kind of artist that is gonna be true to himself. He's gonna moonwalk every night. He's not gonna like raise the bar. However, I do feel when he did raise the bar and do some different things, his fans, it went over their heads. Mm-hmm. There was an album that came out like almost 2 years ago, Her Billionaire. And he had a couple tracks on there that weren't like Rick Ross kind of songs. Like, I don't know if you remember the joint that Timbaland did. I don't remember the name of it, but it was a single. It was like with him and Tink on it. And it was like really fast. It had like a different kind of bounce to it. I wish I could check and see. But when he did that, people were kind of like, nah, this is not the kind of Rick Ross thing. But I mean, there's some tracks on there I love. What's the joint?
Trap.
Nah, definitely
That's
don't.
my shit.
You like that?
Moving Bass is what you're talking about.
Moving Bass is the song.
That was it? Yeah.
Moving Bass, thank you, man. That was the name of the song. But yeah, on this record, I like the first record. I really like, what's this joint? I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to pull up the track list. Gaming based on sympathy. I could do without Maybach Music 5. I can't front. That wasn't really one.
I love that whole series.
That wasn't my favorite. I love the message on Summer 17. I'll take that because like I just think like people are so that song resonated with me only because people are so caught up on self, and Ross is kind of like the guy you want in your squad because like I feel like that's who I am. Like if we doing anything with TSK and I'm at a point like I always want to make sure everybody else is kind of on the same wavelength, and I think like for him to have that kind of record and then for the whole album talk about how he's like upset about Wayne not being paid, and I think he really was pushing the envelope that like, yo, I've been doing this 10 plus years, probably longer, but these is people this is my family. That's like if you work a job and you like work your job 8 years, like, you know, those people care about you. Christmas time, you check on them if somebody get hurt, and I feel like it was cool to see like in the music industry where like he's having problems with money and stuff. Well, that's his problem. He kind of like spoke up, and I feel like that made the album it made it memorable, and I think like that's important because that's not his problem, but he's speaking on it, and then he's making songs about it. But then he got songs that's not about it, but he's saying like, I want my team strong, I want my team rich by Summer 17. I want niggas on the way. I'm wealthy already. I want my niggas like that. Right. So I'm as like I said, no surprises, but I messed with the whole vibe of the album, and I think it was solid.
Let me ask you this: you really think I wear my hat like Big Sean?
You back on that, bro?
All right.
You talking about Ross right now? You seen it talking about?
God damn it,
little bitch.
I mean,
nah. I agree. I thought it was very much like the Ross formula. I but it was.
He says the fact the Ross factor.
Comfort zone. He got a Maybach song on it. He got the same type of production, same type of flows. Actually,
he did play with a few on there.
Yeah, and like I was telling Sham earlier, I felt like his ad libs were more interesting this time around, more animated. I think he's more his comfort where he is actually refreshing. You know what I'm saying? And I feel he's almost pulling from this generation of younger rappers too. Like like I said, like the ad libs are just it's just interesting to hear somebody like Ross kind of wooing and doing all types of crazy shit. I thought Young Thug's feature on Trap was dope. I always like to hear him. Wale came through on that song.
Yeah. I was surprised. I'm not a big Wale fan, but I was surprised that I actually like something he did.
I actually think he was gonna get on any of the Rossi stuff, but between them two going at it a little bit.
Yeah, there was this. I can't remember which song it was, but one of them he was talking about how like he went to the jail, see Meek Mill, and then
that's Lamborghini Doors.
Yeah, and then he came back and like Meek Mill was kind of running shit or some shit, and not for nothing. Ross is a man of a lot of fabrication. Like, come on, keep it a buck. Yeah. So,
you know him?
No,
come on.
I'm just checking because I know you know Big Sean because you wearing your hat like that. Yeah, so I'm just checking to see.
No, that's a good point. No. I don't know him as well as I know Big Sean, my idol. But even something as simple as like calling yourself Hood Billionaire or naming your project, like what is that to represent? Like what do you interpret from that?
I'm waiting.
I mean, Hood Billionaire.
Yeah,
I mean, he came from the bottom up.
Yeah, but he's certainly not a billionaire.
He's not a billionaire.
In the hood, he is though.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying.
He's a hood billionaire.
Like, do you want to know like the mathematical equivalent of being a hood billionaire? Is that what you're trying to figure out?
No, that's not my point.
I mean, that's $100,000. They're a billionaire in the hood.
Ross goes out of his way, whether you realize it or not. Ross goes out of his way to manufacture a greater presence. I know a lot of rappers do, but Ross he really goes above and beyond when trying to build a persona.
Mont, you don't like anyone.
What the fuck? I love Rick Ross.
So if it ain't Bone Thugs, you
exactly.
That's not true either.
That's what it smell like.
You know what? It's because they never collaborated on a song together.
No. Pause. Listen. If you have an opinion on somebody and it's not the most favorable opinion, it doesn't mean I don't like him. I like Ross, man. I like a lot of the rappers out right now. Right. But I'm just saying, like, if I'm being critical, and that's why we're here to talk about shit we love and we don't love. One of the things about Ross I don't love is the fact that he really goes above and beyond in manufacturing aspects of him. So, you know, like, to an extent, it's a little bit like, come on, son. Like, come on, dog.
What? Oh, okay. When he went to jail and they didn't let him in, and then the next time he came and Meek had on orange Balenciagas.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we could go back to the whole corrections thing where
he copped the plea too, just recently, not too long ago.
Who, Ross?
Yeah. I think this is recent. I think he's supposed to be getting like probation for that whole situation.
And kidnapping joint. Yeah.
But I will say, you know, he also kind of opened up on this song. He talked about the seizures and like that he had on the plane or some shit like that. So, like, he also shows a little bit more vulnerability on this project than he's shown on other projects too. So I'll give him that. But like, you know, it's my general annoyance with Rick Ross. You know, even like Chris Rock on the interludes and skits,
right?
Just to kind of reinforce, like, nah, he's for real. Come on, because that's all he was doing on this album. Was like, how many people say, like, and that it's cheesy to me. Like, you don't have to go so hard to why are you going so hard to convince us how great or different or serious or real you are? That shit's played out. But other than that, good album.
You know, that's your opinion. You could definitely, you know.
Chris, you like Ross?
Yeah, I'm a Ross fan. You know,
like,
you are.
Yeah,
but
you
know,
like
Ross. I don't search for much authenticity in his music, right? You know, you don't know.
You shouldn't.
You don't, you know, like with his background and like the story that's out there.
Right.
You know, so I mean, it's definitely mood music. Like, you know, like when the idols become rivals. I mean, that shit is crazy. You know, him sticking up for producers like on wax, right? Saying that they should be paid, like things like that. You know, like
that's a part of the business, though. They should be paid for their craft and whatever they do.
And he garners a lot of respect from me for taking a vocal position on things like that. You know, and talking about Wayne and I mean, you know, he didn't need to expose Baby and shit and talk about his fake watch on Live Nation tours and everything, but he did go there. You know, and you know, Ross really stuck up for the industry on that track. So, you know, he gets respect from me.
So overall, how do y'all, you know, rate that? Did everybody hear the entire album or just like a few?
I've heard the whole album.
Yeah, I've heard the whole album multiple times.
You heard the whole album?
Yeah.
So what do you rate it, Sham? What do you think it is at?
7.5.
Okay.
Well, I'll take Chris's answer from earlier. 7.5.
Mine.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I'm gonna recycle my answer.
Okay, so he's a C average artist as well. C plus.
C plus.
This album is.
Okay.
Has he ever had an album that y'all felt was like 9?
He had a mixtape that was kind of crazy.
I think everybody's a lot.
Which mixtape was that? I don't remember, but that joint, you could let that joint play from start to finish.
But you gotta understand, I think mixtapes they're marketing tools. So sometimes they probably gonna come harder because, well, an album, there's money involved.
Right, like you got to figure with
real
the mixtape, you have total freedom creatively, you know, because you don't have to worry about licenses and shit like that.
I don't know about none of the stuff y'all talking about. I'm talking about how the music made me feel listening to it. I don't know nothing about marketing dollars. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's always about with me.
Okay.
Like, I don't really care nothing about if it's validated, nothing like how it make you feel. Like, that's what's important to me.
I mean, we can even switch genres and go to Trey songs too, but you know.
Why would we do that? Anybody surprised I don't like Trey songs?
I mean, you wear your hat like Big Sean, so I can see.
Can we rate every album?
No.
Can we just do that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. That's so we start.
So Trey Songz album is like 2.
Trey Songz
2.
I'm being stupid.
Yeah,
with
2.
the Drake, you can't rate that. That's a playlist.
It's a playlist. You think it's a playlist?
You rate a playlist?
You could. I mean, if that's
what's a playlist?
But technically,
playlist.
I mean, I think it's just. What do you think? What was the value of the total body of work from 1 to 10?
But didn't he create a playlist so that he wouldn't be assessed? It wouldn't be assessed in the same way you would assess an album.
No, I think he created a playlist so he could save a whole lot of money, you know, and not having to pay for samples and shit.
True.
Y'all niggas is full of shit.
What? If it's for sale.
like he does come from, you know, like as you pointed out before, right? Like Wayne is his kind of like, you know, like mentor and all of this. And I mean, nobody stashed more money than Cash Money, you know. Look at their projects.
So you
and
think
shit.
calling it a playlist was just a ploy to save money?
No, it was a business decision to get it played elsewhere and to make it, if it's down.
Where would it get played?
Because it wasn't an Apple exclusive, so they were able to put it on streaming services elsewhere.
So that's you.
Like calling it a playlist is a straight business decision, I say.
I think it was a different way to word what like his body of art. Like I think he wanted to.
I agree.
I think like when you said what is a playlist, I think it's just like the songs you want to put on there. Like it's in whatever order. Obviously, there was some order to the feel of the album. Like in the middle, it got very island.
But they don't have to be as cohesive.
Right. It doesn't have to. All songs don't have to work with each other.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't want to break that one. You guys can because I didn't listen to the whole thing. There was a lot of me skipping to the next song because maybe because I'm not ready for a playlist yet. Next. Like when my emotion was here, it instantly just got like. I can't see what my movement, but
you should have seen it. If you was here, you see.
I made some very questionable.
That was like the
you need to say after that dance. You need to say pause. How about that?
Nah, I think pause. Like if I were rating this one, it's hard to rate Drake projects because I think you're constantly Drake's constantly in competition with himself. So you're just like, did I love this as much as I maybe like So Far Gone or Take Care? Drake. I'll go with 7.
Okay.
I'd probably go like an 8.
Who's that?
My bad. My fault.
I'm just saying.
I have way too many screens open there.
I see.
Yeah, I'll go with a 7. Just 7? Because like. It Drake always reminds us that he is indeed talented. He's not a Kodak Black.
Why do you he's gonna find you, and I'm totally fine because I've been supporting him this entire time.
Yo, Kodak, if you find me, just you know what? Let's go in the studio and let's work on the next one together.
We can make it better. You said.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. I think he always showcases. Drake always showcases his talent, and for that, and there was no shortage of talent and showcasing it on More Life. So yeah, that's why I'd go with a 7. But I do feel like it's a little bit of the same thing again.
Okay.
I'd probably rate it higher if I compared it to Views. Views was very, very underwhelming.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So,
all right, I got a question for everybody. What was the last song y'all played on your iTunes or your Spotify or?
Unfortunately, it was Kodak Black because I was preparing for this shit. No,
that is true. Because I'll be honest, I've seen Kodak, but I've never listened to his records until about 2 days ago.
I didn't mean for the educational purposes.
No, it was Ross.
I'll be honest. Yeah, I listened to TP2.com, the album.
Interesting.
I was listening to that this week actually.
Yesterday, I was R. Kelly, man. This may be another podcast thing. Like he was another hybrid, man. I'm sorry. He was a hybrid with his approach to making like ghetto R&B or whatever you want to classify it as. But he was a hybrid, man. No lie, for no reason, I almost shed a tear listening to I Wish. I'm not even missing nobody. But I'm like listening to how hurt he was on the song.
Yeah, that song
about his man getting bodied. I'm like
the remix.
No, the original.
Yeah.
I listened to the remix too.
Yeah, the remix has that effect on me.
But I'm like listening to the first one and I'm like, yo, it's like 4 verses. Mm-hmm. I'm like, he was really, and that's what I like that. I like it's not 3 verses and out in the bridge and all this stuff that we live by now. When we're structuring a song, I was like, yo, he was free, that album. Like some of the album, the structures is so broken up, but then like just his approach to writing the songs was cool, man. So that's the last thing I listened to, TP2.
Cool. So I'd like to thank all you gentlemen for coming here today.
Thanks for having us, man.
Appreciate it.
We had Mont, we had Chris. We talked about a few things and, we feel good about, I think we definitely hit a lot of points and ideas and stuff like that, how we felt. So, so ladies and gentlemen, until next time, make sure you stay tuned and stay locked.
Word.